Good morning. Welcome to Catalysing Conversations. My name is Eloho Gihan-Mbelu. I'm the Managing Director of Endeavor Nigeria. Catalysing Conversations is our annual flagship event, a scale-up entrepreneurship forum that focuses on the themes that matter to Endeavor: innovation, high-growth company dynamics, high-impact entrepreneurship, and entrepreneur-led economic development. Why do these themes matter? Nigeria's economic future will be determined by high-impact entrepreneurs. Endeavor coined the term high-impact entrepreneurs 20 years ago. And by high impact, we mean those with the biggest ideas, the greatest potential to achieve meaningful scale, and the mindsets to inspire, mentor, and reinvest in the next generation. High-impact entrepreneurs are critical to the advancement of innovation and the spread of its benefits. Sometimes, they commercialize technological or scientific outcomes. Often, they reinvent business models. And other times, they find new and better solutions to problems affecting large numbers of people. With Catalysing Conversations, our aim is to spread the mission of high-impact entrepreneurship, illustrating how entrepreneurs that think big, scale up, and pay it forward are critical for long-term economic transformation. Over the next couple of hours, we'll take you on a journey, and we'll invite you, a community of successful business people, investors, and policymakers, to support the entrepreneurs that are building our collective future as active mentors, investors, and promoters. But before we begin, some background. There are nearly 2,000 high-impact founders in our global network, which spans 35 markets across 6 continents. These Endeavor entrepreneurs are leading game-changing companies, including Mercado Libre, the highest valued company in Latin America, Careem, the Uber of the Middle East, and Paga, operator of Nigeria's largest financial services distribution network. There are a number of Endeavor entrepreneurs in the room today. We're lucky to be working with a number of successful business professionals who give their time and their expertise to us as Endeavor mentors. Endeavor's ultimate aim is a more equitable and prosperous future for everyone. We are honored to have His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Vice President of the Federation, chairing today's forum, ably represented by Mr. Clement Agba, the Honorable Minister of State for Budget and Planning. We're also honored to have His Excellency Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State, joining us as a special guest, ably represented by Mr. Gboyega Sanyonwo, Deputy Chief of Staff to His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State. We're especially thankful to the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otunba Niyi Adebayo, CON, who is himself a seasoned businessman and entrepreneur. I'll also take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, the Aliko Dangote Foundation, Access Bank, and InterSwitch Group. We could not deliver Catalysing Conversations without their support. And of course, all 3 organizations have in their leaders examples of the power of bold entrepreneurship. Endeavor Nigeria would not exist without our founding board of directors. These 10 exceptional business leaders give their capital, their networks, and their resources freely for the benefit of Endeavor entrepreneurs. Their support is unwavering, and I look forward to celebrating 5 years of Endeavor Nigeria with them in the not-too-distant future. Thank you. The NBS and SMEDAN released the results of their most recent national survey of business. There are 41,543,000 micro, small, and medium enterprises in Nigeria. 41,470,000 of those are micro businesses, many unincorporated. Nigeria actually has less than 1,800 mid-sized companies. That is, companies that employ anywhere between 50 and 200 people. Interestingly, alarmingly, that category has actually shrunk by 60% since 2013. And of the close to 60 million jobs attributed to MSMEs, most actually count the sole proprietors themselves. these are not going to be the drivers of innovation, productivity, and massive job creation that our economy needs. When ecosystems are productive, their cities and regions thrive. More productive ecosystems are associated with thousands more jobs, billions more naira in economic growth, and more innovations. And ecosystems that outperform generate more of the relatively few companies that will ultimately reach scale. The best indicator of ecosystem productivity then, in my view, is scale outcomes, not scale potential. Entrepreneurs that have the desire and the capacity to create truly scalable businesses in any ecosystem, they're usually just a few, but they drive the most significant outcomes. It is important then that they have access to the resources, not just capital, but talent, business networks, market access to be even more successful. It is also important that they are helping others to replicate and even surpass their success, and that is Endeavor's theory of change. So what is a scale-up? Scale-ups are not SMEs, not in the traditional sense. We also know that more than 80% of high-growth startup companies will usually not survive beyond Series A. That is beyond their first institutional funding round. Scale-ups are high-growth companies that have successfully navigated the startup phase. So instead of being focused on making their first hires, acquiring their first customers, early product versions, raising their seed rounds, the founders are now focused on expanding into new geographical markets, entering adjacent customer segments, scaling their teams, optimizing working capital, raising their second or third institutional round. We often find them at critical inflection points, whereby the processes are in place for revenues to continue to grow rapidly without jeopardizing their core business models. The London Stock Exchange estimates that 97 fast-growing and dynamic scale-up companies in Nigeria increased their revenues and their workforces between 2015 and 2018 at compound rates of 47% and 23% respectively. For Paga, led by Endeavor entrepreneurs Tayo Oviosu and Jay Alabraba, this meant an almost doubling of its workforce, from 12,000 agents in 2017 to just under 23,000 this year. For BitPesa, led by Endeavor entrepreneur Elizabeth Rossiello, scale-up means a first acquisition, a major strategic partnership in Asia, and facilitating cheaper, faster, and direct access to African and frontier market currencies to over 4,000 small businesses trading across borders on this continent. We will start with a TED-style talk by Efosa Ojomo, Global Prosperity Lead of the Clayton Christensen Institute for Disruptive Innovation. Efosa is co-author, along with Professor Clayton Christensen and Karen Dillon, of The Prosperity Paradox, How Innovation Can Lift Nations Out of Poverty. And using a compelling mix of business history, economics, and storytelling, he will make a case for entrepreneurship as Nigeria's path to much-needed prosperity, illustrating the transformative power of what he and his colleagues have termed market-creating innovations. In 2018, when Endeavor Insights, our research arm, conducted its first mapping on the Lagos tech ecosystem, Chika jumped out as one of its unsung heroes. He has inspired, mentored, and invested in more tech startups than most. He's the founder of Decagon Institute, which is training software engineers. And through 440NG and L5 Labs, this ecosystem's first accelerator and first venture builder, he has incubated more than 20 companies, including Jobberman, Nigeria's largest online jobs portal, which was sold to Ringier 4 years ago. He's the founder of MTech and a venture partner at Rise Capital. Kene Okosa and his co-founder Moses Babatope are building out Nigeria's cinema infrastructure and securing revenues at the box office for its filmmakers, all in the context of a rapidly evolving global film industry. Nearly 2 million people visited a Filmhouse cinema last year, and more are going to see Nollywood movies. The industry will shape Nigeria's economic, cultural, and social dynamics for generations. We'll also hear from Buki George, founder of Health Plus, and Itopikwe, founder of Cars 45, two very different consumer retail businesses. They will be in conversation with Anders Einarsson, CEO of Promasador and an Endeavor mentor. Both entrepreneurs are currently focused on expanding their retail distribution for healthcare products on the one hand and for used cars on the other. Health Plus is 20 years old. Cars 45, just 3 years old, but the challenge is the same: how to reach more and more customers in a cost-effective and scalable way. Finally, Olukbenga Agbola, founder of Flutterwave, will share his vision for borderless, seamless payments for Africa's millions of merchants and billions of consumers. From his startup in 2016, Flutterwave now powers payments on behalf of over 25,000 merchants and more than 35,000 consumers, employing over 100 people. Recently, the company announced a strategic partnership with Alipay, which opens up payments and acceptance channels between Africa and more than 1 billion potential consumers and merchants in China. When we do this again next year, you will meet even more inspirational, high-growth, high-impact founders scaling their businesses right here in Nigeria. But until then, I invite you to sit back and watch the magic of high-impact entrepreneurship. Thank you very much.